To make our Haunted Mansion candelabras, we're going to need, obviously, candelabra. You can get these from your local thrift store. I got these off of Temu because my thrift store didn't have what I wanted. Amazon would also be a good place to look. And we are also going to need a metallic wax. This is by Michael's brand. It's called Craft Smart. I ordered it from Michael's online because my store didn't have. But you can also use silver rub and buff. We're going to need a foam brush and a foam triangle to just wipe off any excess. And I'm just going to start with the base. I'm going to dab my brush into the wax, and then I'm just going to brush it on very lightly, just letting it graze and hit some of the spots to make it look like the black metal has been worn off and aged. And then anywhere where it's super heavy, I can just go in and spread that with my sponge and make it look even more worn, just like that. And you want to go all the way around because these will be sitting on our tablescape eventually that is inspired by Haunted Mansion. And I'm just going to get into all of the areas here. If you need to reapply the wax, go ahead and do so. I'm just going to get a little bit on the stem there. And then I'm moving in a left to right motion on the stem and on the candle holder part itself, only because it helps it give that aged look. You can see if I go left to right, it actually gives it that look of being distressed and worn. Making sure I get the edges as well. Anywhere where I think there would be natural wear and tear or weathering on this. Again, we want them to look old and used and like they belong in the Haunted Mansion. I'm just gonna also get the tops, get right in that crevice. Anywhere I see black that I want to just age it, I'm going to make sure I hit it again. And this wax dries pretty quickly. Usually within a half hour, you're good to go. And there we have our Haunted Mansion inspired candelabra. For our next dupe, we are going to make napkin rings that resemble the frame around the sign of the entrance at Haunted Mansion. If you've ever ridden the ride, you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So we're going to use 2-part resin. My favorite resin to be using is magic resin, and the link is in the description box below. And you want to use equal parts A and B. I add part A to part B, and we used about 20 milliliters of each for this project. I didn't need a lot because it was a very small mold. And we did add some black alcohol ink as well as black mica powder that gives it that glittery effect and that deep black tone. So we're just pouring it into the molds and setting it aside to dry overnight. So now that our resin picture frames have had a chance to set 24 hours, we're ready to finish them off. The nice thing about working on that silicone mat is the dried resin that spilled over just peels right off. And so it's very easy to keep your work surface clean, and we'll just throw that out later. To give these a little bit of dimension and have them look a bit more realistic, we're going to use some wax metallic finish. So I like the Craft Smart version from Michaels. Again, I've said it in previous videos, it is very difficult to find rub and buff in Canada that's not expensive. This was, I want to say, $10 for this whole jar. A little goes a long way. I'm using a pea-sized amount on this piece of cardboard for this project, and even that is probably too much. I'm just going to use a small, soft bristled brush, and if I need to blend anything, I have a makeup blending sponge that will help. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of that wax to my brush, and then just move those out of the way. Holding it down, I'm just going to brush over all of the raised areas, like so. And I can get in with some of the lighter silver in there as well. And this really gives it that haunted mansion, spooky look. And then using my blending sponge, I'm just going to go in and wipe off any excess. And there we have our haunted mansion napkin rings. Super easy, very inexpensive, and it's going to have a huge impact on our dining table. Whenever you hear the words haunted mansion, the first thing that comes to almost everybody's mind is the infamous Madame Leota, the woman's head who is inside of the crystal ball in the ride. I'm going to recreate a Madame Leota that we can use on our centerpiece, and then we are going to also use her in another project later on down the road. So to do so, you need a crystal ball. I found this beauty at my local Dollarama. It screws into the base. It's battery operated, so it lights up once you put batteries inside, which I have not done yet. So it's perfect. If you can't find something like this, you could look for a large plastic ornament and just create a base using plastic cups and a candlestick from Dollar Tree or Dollarama. Just spray paint it black to have it look how you want. And what I mean by that is, let's say this is our candlestick. You would cut a paper or plastic cup at the height you want, like so, and then you would stick the plastic ornament, the clear plastic ornament inside of it, obviously with the cap side going down. And you can hot glue it in. Or if you have a fishbowl, something of that sort, probably not a fishbowl, it would be flat, but you could also go to like a home improvement center and get like a glass light bulb cover for a ceiling fixture. That would be a bit more pricey. I think the clear ornament way is another way to go. So I'm just going to unscrew the base from the ball. And then I've gone ahead and on some clear vellum paper, you can buy this at Staples, or I got this one at Michaels. And I just found an image of Madame Leota online that I liked. I popped it into my Cricut software and made it the size roughly of the inside of the ball that's going to sit on top. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take my scissors and cut it out. I could have put this on my Cricut machine, but not everybody has a Cricut machine. So I did want to show you how to cut it by hand. And if you don't have Cricut to do your sizing and things like that, you can also use Canva's free version and resize it in there. So we now have our picture of Madame Leota. We're going to just curl it up a little bit, stick it inside of our ball like so, and it's not wanting to stick. perfectly and keep its shape. So we are going to do a little bit of a hack on it. We are going to make it stand up straighter if we can. I'm just going to take a piece of the vellum and we're going to tape it to the back of the image, just using some clear wrapping tape. Like so. I'm going to fold her this way. And we now have her inside the ball. I'm just going to fold this down and we can use some masking tape to hold it in place. So just using the masking tape to secure her, like so. I'm going to push her to the front a bit. And then this comes with the lights already untangled, which is great because they're connected to the base. And we're just going to stick the lights behind. And we're just going to screw it right back in to place. And we now have Madame Leota inside of our crystal ball. I do want to make this a little bit more aged looking. And to do so, we're going to use our wax metallic finish by Craftsmart. I got this at Michael's. I'll just use this scrap piece of paper to put it on. We're just going to take the smallest amount because a little goes a long way with this stuff. And then using a soft bristle brush, I'm just gonna spread it out a little bit, get it on my brush, and then we're just gonna go in and just really highlight all around the embellishments, just to make them look very haunted and like they belong in a Disney attraction. So I've gone all around the base of that. We're also going to make sure we get down the rest of the stand as well, because we don't know on our table how much is going to be seen through all the other decor that we're going to have on there. So we want it to look finished as much as possible. So again, just going on, and this wax finish really does dry quickly also. So you don't have to worry about it transferring onto your other pieces on your table. It's really a really cool medium to work with. And again, it's very similar to Rub and Buff. Rub and Buff, I've said it a few times in other videos, is very difficult to get in Canada. So unless you're buying it and paying top dollar on Amazon, or making a trip across the border and hoping you can find it in a Hobby Lobby, this is a really good alternative to people that don't necessarily have access. So there we have our Madame Leota crystal ball. I'm going to put the batteries in and be sure to take video of it once it's all set up on the final table. And here's Madame Leota in all of her glory. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I can't wait to show you how it all looks on the table. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.